be part 1, part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah. All right. So I was on a cruise. I was on a snorkeling tour on a boat. It was an open boat, and I was sitting on the boat, and I was wearing this hat. And this hat is really important to me because this is the nonprofit organization that I've created. It's the first hat that I ever made for it, and it's very important to me. I'll get more into that. So I was wearing it, and obviously it's like a boat and you're going on the ocean, and so I had tightened my hat very tight. Say it like I'm telling you. I tightened it very tightly to make sure that it did not lose it. And
Wait, you're talking to people? Are you talking to people?
I'm talking to whoever I want to. The point is, the universe took my hat off of my head. We pulled into, the wind blew my hat off is what I'm saying, but we were coming into a lagoon area, and so we had just kind of slowed down, and we were slowing down and sort of coasting in to do the snorkeling, and then I was in an awful bad, horrendous emotional state. I was very tired and irritated and didn't want to be there at the time, and my hat blew off my head into the ocean. So obviously I had it, so I didn't lose it. But what happened was I'll go through what happened and then I'll give the details underneath it. What happened was I stood up, saw my hat had gone into the ocean, took off my fanny pack, and dove into the fucking ocean after my hat.
Yeah.
Without any plans, without anything. Like essentially, it was just like everyone just looking around on the boat going, did that guy just jump in? Wait, what? Why is he off the boat? What just happened? Because and so for me, it was really terrifying because the second I got in and had the hat, I was then just in the fucking ocean. Just in the ocean, not expecting to be. 2 seconds later, 3 seconds later, there was no expectation to be in the ocean until I was snorkeling. And even then, I didn't want to get in the water. So I was like resisting even getting in the water. And then my hat blew off my head, and I saw the hat hit the water, and I saw it. I'll explain what happened. Basically, I saw it get waterlogged, and like this. It was sort of the way I would explain it would be like it was like if the situation was like a math equation, and my brain was doing quantum math in the moment. It was just like imagine just like remainders and like all these things popping off the side, like like it was just like there was no thought, there was no anything. It was just immediate instinct, without any thought, and I just dove into the fucking ocean with my clothes on, everything. Mm-hmm. So I immediately started panicking and freaking out. And you're not.
I'm having camera problems.
So I then panicked, and I don't know if you know this or if you've ever done any snorkeling, but when you're in the ocean and you're not used to being in the ocean,
yeah,
it's common to induce panic a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because it's like, especially if you just fucking jump in and you're not expecting to be in, which is like I was. So I was like freaking, and then eventually someone made a joke like, what, can he not swim? What, he jump off the boat and he can't swim? And someone threw me a pool noodle, and I eventually came around the back, and I sat on the back of the boat feeling really embarrassed, like honestly feeling really upset and like bawling. Like I was not in a good place in the first place, okay? And so it was like...
Party a little hard the night before on the boat, huh?
No, it wasn't even... I just didn't get enough sleep, honestly. But, so I was feeling really bad about it. Really bad about it at first. And then as I eventually we did that little snorkeling thing, and then we're moving, traveling to the next thing, and I'm thinking about it. And then I realized, because I had to think about it, because I realized in the moment that it was much more than what just happened. Like I could sense that, if that makes sense. Have you ever had an experience where like that was more than what it just was? And I know that. I just have to process it. So then I did, and I sat and thought about it, and I realized that like when I had jumped in, it wasn't just that like, oh, I just love that hat. I really gotta go get my hat. Like, so this is where I wanted to connect it. So you wrote, identity is in your fears, right?
Ah.
the reason that's important and the reason the story is important is because my hat went over the edge, and if you know, I started this organization. Been growing it for 3 years now. And a lot of my identity and fears are within this organization, and I have had with all of my some of my monetary issues, and I had to get a new job and still run the organization, and like there's been all this stress and these fears in me about everything to do with this, like all just building up in me. But then the second that I saw this in the ocean, like it wasn't just that this was a hat. This was like my identity to a degree. This was me. This is like everything in that moment. And as I was sitting on the boat feeling really bad about it and thinking about it and processing, I started to actually get really, really like happy and overwhelmingly grateful for the experience, as I realized that essentially what I had emotionally, what it had equated to me, was the equivalent of the universe giving me a sacred theater assignment in that instant moment. Because I got to act out like my baby that I've created, and things that I've put a ton of my identity in, being blown into the ocean, into infinity. You know, Jed references the ocean as a good, it's a great allegoric, whatever, comparison item. But so I dove mindlessly, thoughtlessly, like after this thing, and an instinctual jumped into the ocean after this. And like I was enormously happy with myself that I did that, because it was like way more to me than just going after my hat. I was jumping into infinity, into infinite unknown, for this thing. And it was more than just the hat. It was like for myself, for everything that is me. I was just leaping into the ocean, and it was just a ridiculously powerful experience for me. I think the original, I just wanted to tell you about it.
Yeah. So there's a cool thing.
I don't know how you're receiving it.
I don't know how I'm receiving it either. I'm going to just reflect a couple things. The decisiveness to go and get what you want is power. I love seeing that, right? The idea that your identity is in a hat should tell you that you need to burn that motherfucking hat. Like, that thing's got to go.
Well, that might be.
Do you know the other side? Like, let it go. Your identity is in, that's fake. That's false. You're not, right? Do you get that?
Yes.
I mean, you've read these fucking books, dude.
Yes. No, but I'm just explaining how I perceived it.
Yeah, and you feel really jolly good because you saved your identity.
Yeah, well, it's a good way. This is why I wanted to talk about it on this.
Yeah, you saved your fear.
Apart. Yeah, but I wasn't really thinking about what I saved and didn't save, because in the end, when I was on the boat, like I actually had a moment because of so much adrenaline, where I didn't remember if I had put the hat up into the boat or not. I was just dealing with the trauma of honestly thinking I was drowning, because I just jumped into the ocean when I didn't expect to be. And so in that, there was a few moments where somebody second guessed, was like, did you even get the hat? And then I immediately, because I had the adrenaline, no memory, like for a second was like, I was like, fuck, I didn't even get the hat. Like, why didn't I just do that? I just jumped into the ocean after this, and so it wasn't, that's what I'm just saying. The whole point of this is it was more than the hat.
Yeah, but here's the thing, like there's two levels to this, to me. One is when God says jump, boom, you're there. You're so free that you will turn and murder someone and go, like you'll help someone. It's just a reactive.
There's two sides of it.
Being lived by God.
Sorry, one is calling to action of the universe, but the other side would be, what am I investing so much in this that it will cause me to do that? Yeah,
the other side is, how fucking afraid are you, and tied to that identity, that you panic over losing a hat. Like, it wasn't even your fucking thing.
It's more of a tell of where I was at with everything.
Well, but that's a good thing.
Very significant.
It has to be significant for you.
But yeah, and I was sitting there on that boat feeling grateful. This is where admittedly, I'll say me, we might just be crazy people. I might just be a crazy person, reading way the fuck too much into a regular everyday activity. But the point is, the whole fucking point of all of this is to pay attention to the shit that happens in your life and to read into it a little bit more than what just surface area appears. And so I did that, like, you know, I was forced to because it was so emotionally powerful and I didn't understand why.
But note also something. This is a good topic because we're going to talk about it a lot, which is the concept of patterns, the infinite intelligence. Like something, we're arising in the dream of something. Something created the whole thing. So therefore, everything has meaning, right? And so, Jed, I know what you do all the time. You're like, well, the pattern will emerge. Something like that's not going to happen without a meaning. You know, it'll make itself known, and then you always qualify it. Or it won't.
Or it won't.
Like, that's the unattached, not reflect on the act piece. It's like, it means something. I may never find out why, but it doesn't matter. It means something. But there's people,
yeah,
and there's a scientific community of whole people who are like going, fuck you, it's random. That's your, well, if you jumped in, whatever it means, it doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
But
it means your hat blew into the ocean and you acted like an idiot instead of just reaching down to get it or something.
I'm going to tell you,
but that is wrong. That interpretation is not correct.
I'm going to tell you, I've seen too many patterns.
Yeah.
Now, the scientists will tell you, you are so good at lying to yourself and putting meaning to patterns that were random.
I would say to that stupid asshole that that's what humans do, and that's why we exist, is we put meaning to things. If we didn't, we wouldn't even have a society to be existing in. So yes, we do that, do it very well. But it's important.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel very fired up. I don't know. I might have just discounted your point a little bit. I didn't
No, I maybe you did, but I'm telling you, my personal experience is that I see patterns. I've seen things weave together that are mind-bending. Things 20 years later and went, what? Holy shit. That's pretty cool. I mean, but I see the little patterns. Those are the big miracles. You just see the little patterns. I mean, us doing this is a little pattern. I was like, I've got this urge to mention it to him. And you're like, and then we did it. I mean, it was just a little pattern coming together.
Yes.
Like that. In this flow, the world works.
Yes. And maybe
until it doesn't.
Maybe something I'm learning, or a different frame maybe of this experience that was significant to me, is to maybe simply accept and that I maybe don't know, not maybe, that I don't know all of the reasons of why that was significant. Like I was attaching all this meaning, like saying like it was my identity, so I was jumping in after it. But subtracting all of that, the experience was important to me and very powerful. And I want to understand all of the aspects of it,
I think you're well on your way.
Yeah.
And I think the hat's got to go.
Well, it definitely.
I mean, there's only one way to go. It's got to burn. It's the only way to go. Jed's telling you. I can hear him.
See, you're telling me how to do it, and then I'm resisting that. So how about you just don't talk about it?
Okay. Here we go. This is another good one. I love this part coming up. It's very simple, I tell her. Enlightenment is truth realization. Not only is truth simple, it's that which cannot be simpler, cannot be further reduced. I can see from her expression that got us nowhere. My bad. I have a copy of the Gita on the table between us. I open it random with the intention of finding a passage well suited to the subject I'm discussing. This is where the patterns come in. Works every time. Gratitude permeates me as I read her this statement by Krishna. Before I read the statement, he later calls this bibliomancy.
Yes.
I probably have bibliomancied me and Jenny with Jed's books, I don't know, 10,000 times?
Yeah.
And have gotten ridiculous amounts of guidance and insight.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this in the intro, but from that I feel like I could probably give a little bit more concise level of my understanding, which is essentially it's the idea that you have a contained set of values, and you introduce the concept of randomness. Reach into it randomly, into that set of things, and pull one thing out. But while you're reaching, you hold an intention. And the idea being that if you're holding, you hold an intention, reach for a set of random values or a set of random pages. Tarot cards work this way. If you pull a random card, then whatever you pull randomly, your intention affected that. It affected what you pulled, and you're going to have an answer or an adjacent concept or you're going to have something. You'll be given a puzzle piece. You don't know where in the puzzle. But then sometimes you're like, oh, this connects with everything that I'm dealing with in my life right now because you chose that the right page to place or pick and the right quote to read. But
so we're gonna experiment.
That's what it is. That's the idea.
So tell us about the meaning of the hat. What needs to happen?
Tell us about the meaning of the hat.
What's your intention? That's my intention. What's your intention? You're gonna do bibliomancy on the hat experience. Put it to the test. Right on live TV. Okay. Would I have ever read Moby Dick just on my own?
There's more to this. Keep going.
Maybe, maybe not. Would I have read it just to be polite to my host? Probably not. I don't know what's going on. But there were other factors that put the book in front of me. So I did what I do and obeyed the prevailing winds as soon as I detected them.
That's exactly fucking bibliomancy. Okay, multi-layers in that. Multi-layers. The first one being just exactly what he said, like that.
He talked about
the act of jumping, of doing that. Okay, furthermore, I made the connection in my later thoughts. I didn't talk about it because we're not in the second book.
We're gonna let the cat out.
He's like, I want to get out of here.
Yeah, he's trying the shit out of him.
Okay, so in the second book, it's got focus.
Yep, we have fucked the focus. Get back.
There you go.
Nope. Shit.